There are a few important tasks that we need to do as managers, and one of those is providing feedback. And I'm going to share with you the 7 principles of how we provide feedback that has impact. One of the first principles is we need to focus on specific behaviors. We want to describe the behaviors just like you're the person in the family that's filming the family event where you say smile at the camera, people smile at the camera, wave at the camera, people wave at the camera. We need to do the very same thing when it comes to the work behaviors of our staff. So you would say something like this: Bob, I'm concerned about your attitude towards work. Yesterday you were half an hour late coming to the meeting. This morning you said you had not reviewed the case study that we were discussing. And now you're telling me this afternoon you're going to leave early for a dental appointment. Describe observable behaviors so people can see the activities that we're providing feedback about. You can also use feedback and describe behaviors in a positive way, saying, Jan, I really am pleased with the job you did on the Phillips case. Dan Phillips contacted me and said how quickly you responded to those changes. So now Jan will know what to do again so that she can get that positive feedback. The second concept that we need to keep in mind in providing feedback is keep it impersonal. Provide feedback whether you like the person or not. Positive feedback and also constructive feedback, or sometimes what's called negative feedback. Now often people say, shouldn't we call it constructive feedback? I don't know, when I get it, sounds negative to me. But we need to keep it impersonal. Always job-related behaviors, and make sure that you provide feedback that's valuable. It doesn't do us any good to tell somebody they're stupid or incompetent or they're a great employee or a wonderful employee. Those are vague descriptions of an attitude. Instead, what we need to do is describe those behaviors to make sure that they understand what it is that we're providing feedback about. Now, the third principle that we're going to discuss is to keep it goal-oriented. As we talked about earlier in the presentation, it's important to set goals so people know where they're supposed to go and what they're supposed to do. Now, when it comes to goal setting, we want to make sure we go back to goal setting because then it seems objective rather than subjective. If we spent all that time setting goals together, we should go back and discuss the goals, how it relates to the individual, how it relates to their team or their department or the organization overall. We want to make sure that we go back to the goals that we set, seems objective, then they know how to take action. The fourth principle that we need to keep in mind when it comes to providing effective feedback is to make it well-timed. The sooner the better. The longer we wait, the less impact it's going to have on changing that behavior. Whether it's positive and we want people to continue to do that behavior, or if it's negative and we'd like them to stop, or at least modify the way they're approaching their job. If I was a college football coach and I had a middle linebacker playing 5 yards too deep, I would probably tell them right away to move up and plug that hole because the other team is running 5 or 6 yards down the field and are making first downs. I wouldn't wait until halftime. I wouldn't wait until the end of the game. I wouldn't wait until their senior year. I wouldn't wait till their 5-year class reunion. I would tell them right now. The quicker we provide that feedback, the quicker they'll change that behavior or will reinforce the behaviors and attitudes that we want. Here's another important principle to keep in mind, and that is to ensure understanding. It doesn't do any good to provide feedback to people if they don't understand what it is we're asking them to do. So ensuring understanding is to make sure that once you've finished providing the feedback, ask the recipient to rephrase the content of your feedback to see whether or not you fully captured the meaning that you intended. Mary, please tell me what you think and how you feel about what we just discussed. That way we can listen to the volume of their voice, we can listen to the tone of their voice, and pay attention to the language intensity, whether they took it personally or if they're responding professionally. Just take a couple extra minutes to make sure that they handled the feedback properly so they don't go back to their department and contaminate everybody else with misinformation. So always ensure an understanding, always ask questions and ask them to paraphrase or restate the discussion you've just had. The sixth principle to keep in mind in providing effective feedback is to make sure that the behavior is controllable. It really doesn't do anybody any good to provide feedback about something they can't do anything about. Maybe there really is a computer problem. Maybe there really is a technology problem. Maybe there really is a delivery problem. So what we need to do is focus on those behaviors that are directly related to the activities that this person has control or at least some control over. So it's a good idea to provide guidance and spell out specifically what it is that you would like this person to do about the situation they find themselves in. Provide guidance, don't make demands, and invite them into the conversation to find out how much control they do have in the outcome of that activity. Now the seventh and the last principle of feedback that we need to keep in mind is to tailor the feedback to fit the person. Consider the recipient's past performance and their future potential, and then develop the right combination of frequency and amount and content of the performance feedback. We want to make sure that people look forward to coming back to work the next day instead of resenting the fact they have to. So if we provide effective feedback, if we follow these 7 principles, whether we like the person or not, they will be motivated and inspired to come back and perform their job at a higher level, to be just that much more effective.